Hello and welcome back to Soulful. My name is Andrew J. Assini for official paperwork purposes, but most folks just call me Drew. And I think that I will also be calling me Drew from now on. Yeah, because I don't want to keep having to introduce my whole name. So hey y'all, it's Drew. Welcome back to Soulful, to episode 2. Part 2 of the opening extravaganza, where I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about who I think I am and some of my background and the roles that I've found myself in, the hats I've worn, and and whatever else feels helpful or relevant. I'm trying to be mindful here to not go into like a never-ending story of myself. I think what might actually happen is I give you a brief run through and set the stage for a bunch of future episodes. Because, there's going to be a lot of topics that I hit, obviously that are related and connected to my own journey. So this might be cool to do a little bit of like a life review and an introduction to who I think I am. That also gives you a podcast preview, right, of coming episodes and potential topics and content areas. So, it feels good. All right, cool. So the place I want to start, though, and I don't have this scripted, so we'll go on the adventure together. The place I want to start, though, is with a recognition of the essence of what I am. Right. So before there's a Drew character guy and he has all these experiences, there's an essence or a presence or an awareness. That's always here. It's always now. I would say it is actually what I truly am. And when I say what I truly am, that's also like the you truly am, right? There's not like a unique separate thing over here, right? That, at least the way I see it, the way I've understood it, the experiences I've had in a variety of settings, that have opened me up in cool ways, have introduced that, the essence of what I am, is the same essence as the I am that's listening to this podcast. So, so the timeless, here right now, always been here, always will be here, I am, presence, awareness. Right, that is the core of the experience. That in some ways makes the whole experience possible. Just recognizing that as the jump street. Like that's really, really where we start from, and return to, if you're on a certain kind of journey. But all right. So that feels good. Give a shout out to soul or spirit or essence or higher self, or again, whatever framework works for you. Just plug in the vocabulary that feels right. So starting with the soul, and then and so then when we come to the person, right, when we move from presence to person guy, like I said, my name is Drew, and I've been on the planet this time for 43 years. My journey started in New Jersey in 1981. And definitely look forward to an episode about New Jersey, because there's a lot to share there. That's a rich area. So 81 in Jersey. I was born in the pre-screen era, right? So we played outside, we cussed and fought and made up games, and threw stuff at houses and ran from the cops, and then threw stuff at the cops and ran from the cops. We were little maniacs, and none of it was recorded, so there is no evidence of our exploits, which I'm super grateful for. I could only imagine, man, like if there was social media and like the way things are recorded now when I was a teenager, like I might still be in jail. I was saying that, like, I think if that was the case, we were talking the other day with some folks in recovery here in Mexico, and I think if there were screens around when I was younger, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And also, if I had started traveling earlier in my life when I was still in active addiction, I might be like rotting in a Mexican prison somewhere. So, so I'm very grateful for the way in which my life has unfolded. All right, let me pull it back. So Jersey, 81, 43 years old. My family, love my family. Varying degrees of fun and less fun times in the relationships within my family, which you'll hear about and I will share about in future episodes. But for this moment, yeah, feeling really grateful, really appreciative for my fam, and looking forward to hanging out in my parents' pool with my niece and nephews and the whole family real soon. Yeah, in the next week or so, I'll be making the move from Playa del Carmen, Mexico, here back to New Jersey for the summer. So if you're around, give me a shout, because I will be in the neighborhood for at least a month or two. All right. Anywho, so so family, awesome, love them. Stay tuned, because it hasn't always been easy. Because like my teen years started off. I guess I got to go through the whole thing here. So definitely a sensitive, empathic kid, young, in a world that's like loud and fast and crazy. And so that was super intense. And then in structures and systems, right, society-wise, family-wise, that didn't necessarily encourage sensitivity or emotion or curiosity, right? Because, I mean, for the most part, the world we're born into wants to just make you be a certain way. And I have never been good at playing the game or pretending or, yeah, that's just never been in my skill set. I'm definitely neurodivergent, maybe just this side or that side of autism. I think different. I'm a different cut of being. I've never fit in this crazy world. And so from an early age, there was a lot of friction. We'll say it like that. There you go. So that friction from an early age then turned into like a really anxious, self-conscious teenager. And then wanting social acceptance. Because again, I didn't know how to play the game. Like, people still confuse me. I don't know. Like, people, like, if you think about it, we're dumb a lot. We're all out here pretending to be something that we're not, when really what we naturally are is amazing, but we hide that. Like, how do things get so backwards? Anywho. Yeah. Anxious, self-conscious teen seeking social acceptance and approval, then met with alcohol and drugs and partying. And I found the approval and the acceptance of my peers when I would be a maniac, when I was a little high or a little drunk. So then I proceeded to continue getting high and drunk for 6 years, 7 years. And at first it was a party, and then it became a job, and then it became hell. And so I spent about 6 years in my late teens and early 20s in active addiction, multiple substances and gambling. And and it was awful. It was terrible. Not recommended. No thumbs up. Like, don't visit Addiction Town. Especially like the last 2 years. Again, at this point, it was beyond a job. Like, I had taken the drugs and the alcohol to the point where then they had taken me. Right, so I was no longer in charge. Yeah, and I spent probably 2 years waking up every morning, wanting to do something different, not knowing how, getting high. And then once I was high, I just wanted to be sober. And then, once the high would wear off, then I would just want to be high again. And then, it was awful. Wanting to die a lot, not willing to do anything about it. And so, and more on addiction recovery, to come in the podcast for sure. Especially because as I came out of addiction, right, I was given the gift of the opportunity to recover through like no like good doing of my own. You know, like I didn't do anything right to not die in addiction. But I was gifted the opportunity to recover, and then in the recovery process, wound up going back to school, becoming a mental health professional, a licensed addictions counselor. And so, you know, over a decade of experience in that role as a mental health professional. So yeah, so you'll definitely hear about addiction and recovery in a lot of different ways throughout the podcast, because it's a huge part of, you know, my story and the experiences I've had. All right, hold on. Let's pause and review. So into addiction, yep, not fun. Didn't die. Found recovery. And yeah, now I've been a person in, I say person in long-term recovery and healing. Yeah, I don't know. Just my own take on it. I've been in this journey for 18 plus years now. Right. And I started with abstinence-based 12-step, supplemented by regular counseling. And then I got to go back to school, get a couple degrees, started working in the field, the mental health and addiction treatment field. Got some letters behind my name. I was a licensed professional. Yeah. Well, because like, hold on, my brain went in two directions at once. At the same time, in my own personal recovery, there you go. So that was my career trajectory. In my own personal recovery, I was getting introduced to more and more like alternate healing modalities, if you will, and definitely lots of different cultural, traditional practices, wisdom traditions, stuff like that. So, yeah, staying in the recovery process, doing counseling, that led to then getting introduced to meditation and yoga, and then into ceremony with North American native sweat lodge ceremonies. Also opened the door for plant medicine ceremonies. So I've gotten to sit with ayahuasca and iboga and San Pedro in my journey. That's also why I say I'm a person in long-term recovery and healing. So it's my own term, it's my own understanding, because some of the abstinence-based folks get a little weird when I talk about how plant medicine has been a part of my journey, a part of my healing. Which there are more and more of us that are coming out of our psychedelic closets, if you will, and letting the world know. Yeah. So I worked in the mental health field for like 10 years. And then as my own personal journey evolved, I started to understand the journey itself differently. Right? Like it wasn't, I have a disorder, I have a diagnosis, I have a disease, I need to treat it like this, right? I need to, like, my understanding of the journey became much bigger than just the Western clinical paradigm, the clinical psych paradigm. And so in 2020, after I'd already started traveling, I let go of my official licensure as a addictions counselor, because it had become clear that the way I wanted to work with folks and the way that I saw was most effective, it was a bigger understanding than just diagnoses and treatment. So, yeah. And I'll share a little bit more with you in the next episode here about the sweet spot I find myself in currently, and how I work with folks and how I understand the work that we do. So, yeah. So, into recovery, back to school, become a licensed professional, let go of becoming a licensed professional, all right, start to really move in a way that felt and feels more authentic, more aligned for, where I'm at and how I see things. Yeah. And that pretty much brings me up to the present day. Oh, I've also taught college on and off for about a decade now. Some full-time positions, a bunch of adjunct positions. Yeah. Like I love learning in any and all forms. And so the opportunity to teach in college classrooms, has been a really tremendous learning experience for me. And, So college professor, former licensed professional. I feel like I'm like reciting off my my bio for different stuff. Person in long-term recovery. Oh, also, an uncle. So my sister and my brother-in-law have blessed me with 2 beautiful nephews and a wonderful niece. And yeah, so I'm the uncle and I'm the godfather for both nephews. Shout out Carter, Carson. What's going on, guys? And Kendall, love you. You're the best. The best niece I ever had. Yeah, so I get to be uncle and godfather. And yeah. And so when I'm back with the fam in a couple weeks at the pool, I'll be Uncle D. It's cool how, like, as new generations show up, everybody's names change. Yeah, I've found that to be a trip. Because, like, so for me, early in my life, I was DJ. That's what I went by. That's how most folks who know me from, like, 0 to 20, right, knew me as DJ. And I'll make sense of that for you. So Andrew J. Assini. My dad's name is also Andrew J. Assini. He goes by Drew, so they made me Drew Jr. So that's DJ. And yeah. And so he was the first like 20 years of my life. And then I came into recovery. And yeah, and I started introducing myself as Andrew. And then I also went back to school like 2 years, maybe a year and a half into recovery. And then on the class rosters, I was Andrew. So then Andrew resurfaced in early recovery. And yeah. And then a lot of folks in recovery just started calling me Drew. And so now I'm still Drew most of the time when I'm identifying as a person. Yeah. And my dad used to be Drew. I used to be DJ, Drew Jr., but I have now claimed Drew for myself. So now he's Drew Sr. He may not agree with that, but that's how I see it. And yeah. But now with my niece and nephews coming into the world, now everybody's different. So now my sister is mom, and my brother-in-law is dad, and then my mom and dad are now Grammy and Poppy, and I'm Uncle D. So it's cool. It's cool how things evolve like that. So let's see, any other roles or hats that feel important? Yeah. Oh, I guess the last 5 years I've been calling my nomad phase. So I don't like the term digital nomad, if you will, but I've been traveling the world working online for years now. So I guess that's kind of what I am. And so in my nomad phase over the last 5 years, so starting pre-pandemic, I left a job the summer of 2019 in Oregon, and then jumped in a RV, drove across the country for 6 months. I drove from Oregon to New York, and then New York down to New Orleans for 6 months. That was the beginning of the Drive About podcast. If you want some other stuff to listen to, that I did for about 3 years. But yeah, 6 months driving across the States, and then took off for Thailand. I was in Thailand for the pandemic, the whole first wave of that. And I came back to the States. And yeah. And so for the last 5 years, I haven't spent more than 6 months anywhere. I've just been bouncing around. And 4 continents. I think it's 11 different countries is the last count. Yeah. Like a couple months here, a couple months there. And so I love traveling. It's an education that you literally can't get anywhere else, to be able to hang out in and learn from just so many different cultures and people, and to see how much similarity there is all over the world. And then also get to really experience the beautiful diversity and the nuances of differences in different cultures. Yeah, I love it. So traveling guy or nomad currently. And maybe at some point I put roots down again somewhere. Because there are pros and cons to everything. But for now, the wind blows me, and sometimes go with it agreeably, and other times begrudgingly. But I share this a little bit in the first episode too. For me, really, at this point in the game, it's just about leaning in and trusting the universe and trusting my own intuitive wisdom and intelligence, which at times is very available, and at other times is hidden behind layers of noise and BS and beliefs and conditioning. Because me at this point in my life, right, 43 years in, I've had so many experiences, so much exposure to so many different influences that there's all kinds of silly beliefs and identity bubbles and layers of stuff that still show up, in so many different ways. Thankfully, gratefully, I've had the opportunity to be in this process of healing or recovery or awakening or whatever you want to call it, which feels like it's an unpeeling of the onion, right, is a common metaphor. So I've definitely invested a lot of energy and time into releasing layers of who I think I am, but I am by no means a clear slate. And I am prone to being a knucklehead for a variety of reasons at any given moment. But today, I'm much more capable of honoring what I really am, right? And much more like fun, loving presence is available more often, and it feels really good, man. Because previous chapters in my life, I was not fun or lovable or caring, or it's the core of who I am. So like it's always been there, but there's been a lot more noise and bullshit that was on the outside, So it's been cool to release some of the noise and the BS and the baggage, so that I can be myself a little more easily and a little more often. And it's a pretty cool way to spend a life, I gotta say. All right, let me do a time check. All right, good. Trying to be real intentional about keeping these episodes of a digestible length. I've been known in the past to to talk a bit. So all right. Yeah, that feels good. So hopefully that gives you some insight into the variety of experiences that I am bringing to the table. Person in long-term recovery, 18 plus years invested in my own healing, which has also included a couple thousand hours of meditation over a 15-year practice, some yoga. I never went full-blown asana yoga, but I would identify much more with the bhakti yogi and the karma yogi, right? Like being in service, and then also a certain devotional sense or a devotional embodiment to how I live. Meditation, yoga, ceremonies, sweat lodges, and with plant medicine, right? A bunch of those over I think the first sweat lodge was like 2008. So 15, 16 years of ceremonies, abstinence-based 12-step recovery as like my foundation to this wonderful life that I live now. I'm so grateful for the very simple, practical introduction to spirituality I got through the abstinence-based 12-step programs. And I'll definitely be sharing more about that in different ways at different points in time. And then I also feel really blessed that I was in enough pain and the opportunities presented themselves to where then I could take advantage of the learning and the healing that happens with different plant medicines and plant teachers. And and again, if you're a person in recovery, abstinence based, and the idea of a plant medicine, goes against your thing, that's cool. Like honor your path, your tradition, your mentors, your sponsors, whatever, and just keep being awesome. For me personally, and again, I know I'm not alone here, the plant medicine's called, and, I feel really grateful for the learning and the healing that they opened up. Yeah. What else? Yeah, and then like a mental health professional who also, like, I went to school, I got degrees, I got licensed, and then I let go of my letters because I feel like I evolved out of that modality. And not saying that clinical mental health paradigm isn't super helpful for lots of people, right? Not casting judgment there at all. Just it became very clear for me that the way I understood the work of healing and self-discovery, I didn't fit in that box anymore. And so now I do my own thing. And yeah, it's been really beautiful to take that leap and and trust the universe, right? Be a soulful. Because it did not make a lot of sense to to a lot of people around me when they're like, "Wait, Drew, what do you mean? You went to school, you paid all the money, you got the license, like you did all the work. Why are you giving up your licensure?" But yep, it felt like the way to go, so I leaned in, and it's worked out beautifully. So, and I think that'll be a cool episode at some point in the future. Maybe I'll go into more about how I let go of the licensure and I transitioned into a new identity, if you will. But yeah, all right, that feels good. That's cool. So that's who I think I am. And yeah, and this feels a nice way to end, But ultimately, all of the stories, the roles that I believe in, the stories I believe in, or the roles that I find myself, in, or the characters that I find myself playing, yeah, they're all just temporary manifestations within the much bigger, timeless essence. And I find myself, at the greatest peace, or with the greatest sense of peace or alignment. I don't even know what the words are. I mean, the words don't describe it, but yeah, when I'm resting simply as presence or awareness or intelligence or, soul, spirit, whatever it is that I am, when I'm being what I am, yeah, it's pretty groovy, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and then life is available. I'm available now. Yeah, life just becomes a different kind of trip. When I'm in a character or in a role or, hooked into an identity play, yeah, life can become very serious and things have to be a certain way. And then I'm like hyper focused on particular outcomes and I'm tripping over myself and not showing up in present moment, with some compassion or awareness, I can get lost out there. But, more and more I'm able to just hang out as what I am. And it's pretty cool. And I don't know what it'll be in 2 seconds or 20 minutes from now or 2 hours from now, but with the trust in this quality of experience, that really matters a lot less. And so, I just get to be what I am. Which, I really like the spiritual being having a human experience reference point, because it reminds me of, this essence is like the primary identity, if you will. It's an identity-less identity, but it's the starting blocks, and then when I'm out there humaning and peopling with the other humans and the peoples, that's secondary. So. Yeah, cool. That feels good. Started with the essence, ending with the essence, and in between, it's a whole bunch of wacky stuff. Which, I mean, that's one way to just describe life as a whole, right? We start as nothing, we end as nothing, and in between we're a whole bunch of somethings. And and hopefully, maybe, being the somethings doesn't suck too much or all the time. And I feel grateful, that my being a something at this moment in time is as satisfying and peaceful as it's ever been. So, all right. That's who I think I am this time. Hopefully it was helpful, a little fun, a little insightful. Maybe you can relate to some of that. Hopefully you also got some previews of some content that you might be interested in listening to. And and if not, I mean, that's cool too. All right. Yeah, let's be done. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thanks for taking the trip with me here. And be gentle with yourself. Be kind. Yeah, give yourself some grace. Life ain't easy. People's is a little bit crazy, and it's easy to lose our way. It's easy to get caught up in chasing things or being things. But, some of us are being gifted an opportunity to remember who and what we really are, and then to live a little bit more as this, moment to moment, day to day. And that's such a wonderful blessing. So if you can relate, cool, man. I see you. And thanks for being you, because it ain't easy out there. But the more of us that are being ourselves more authentically, more truly, it's making it easier for everybody. Because now we're not so weird or like so alien or abnormal. It's like there's more and more of us that you can look around and see, like, oh yeah, like they're doing things on a certain wavelength. I dig it. Or like, oh, they're jamming on a certain radio station. I get it. So when we live freely as what we really are, without trying or chasing, it gives other folks an example to see, as well as incentive and motivation and encouragement, to live like that themselves. So thank you for being that for me. Hopefully I am a little bit of that for you, and hopefully together, collectively, we can keep being that for each other and ourselves as a whole. And that sounds like a really cool direction to be moving in. So, all right, I'm really done now. Hopefully you'll tune in for next episode as well, where I'm sharing about, the sweet spot I find myself in, and the work that I'm doing with folks. So if that interests you, check out episode 3, the closing, part 3 of the opening extravaganza. Just making all this shit up. Anywho, I said I was done. I'm really done. Love y'all.